years ago, a little anime show about a high school volleyball team went on air. It wasn't too long before it became a worldwide fan favorite, winning over not just the shonen and sports anime buffs, but many others too. That little show, Haikyuu, is now 3 seasons and 60 episodes old, and we'll be back soon with a highly anticipated 4th season, so block your dates. First, the story of Haikyuu. Inspired by the player once called the Little Giant, Hinata Shoyo joins Karasuno High School and its volleyball club. Hinata is tiny for a sport that considers height its biggest weapon, but he's determined not to let that get in the way of his dream of emulating his idol. He meets his match in the taciturn Kageyama Tobio, who, unlike him, is a natural talent and was once a rival he'd sworn to surpass. Teammates now, but still polar opposites, the freak duo must learn to work together, not just for themselves, but because they may be their team's only chance to get back to winning ways. The anime chronicles Karasuno's journey from a fallen powerhouse to gritty underdogs and eventual giant killers. It's a simple narrative, one we've seen play out in plenty of sports anime and other anime for that matter too. So what is it that makes Haikyuu special? Because special it is. The anime ranked 23rd on NHK's Best 100 Anime in 2017. It's been voted one of the top anime shows guaranteed to make you happy, and the sales of the manga have also remained consistently high. So today, let's try and unravel the appeal of Haikyuu and why you should watch the series, preferably before Season 4 airs. There's no obvious reason that makes Haikyuu stand out amongst its counterparts. What it has, and this is probably its biggest draw, are subtle ways in which it does things differently. This isn't just in its character design and storytelling, but also its humor, use of emotions, and the role volleyball plays in the show. Volleyball is intrinsic to Haikyuu. It's not just a passing theme to start the story off and get back to every once in a while. It's not there simply as decoration to make the players look cool in their uniforms whilst they make unbelievable shots.
ボール来る。そんで止まる。
One thing I feel Haikyuu does really well compared to other sports anime is that it actually teaches you a lot of things about volleyball. There are lessons embedded everywhere on what constitutes a block or a service ace, on the functions and positions of each player on the court. It gets more complicated as you learn the technicalities behind the many ways spikers make contact with the ball, or how long a pinch server can remain on court. It does this cleverly through little cartoon diagrams in the form of dialogue between characters and through slow motion replays, just like in real sports programs, so it never really feels boring or convoluted. If that's the case, you're probably thinking why you should watch an anime about volleyball when you can simply just watch the real game on TV, right? Wrong. Because while volleyball remains at the heart of the series, it never eclipses the other more important aspects.
チャンスが来たら掴めよ。いけるぞ。行くぞ。
Such as its wonderfully endearing cast of characters, one of Haikyuu's biggest strength is its character design. No two characters are alike, not in the way they look or even their personalities. You have the clumsy but intensely competitive Hinata, the genius Kageyama with godly skills who sucks at making simple conversation, and the goateed Azumane Asahi who looks like a gangster but is really just a big softie. Within a short span of 3 seasons, Haikyuu's managed to fully flesh out the characters, each with their own distinct quirks, attitudes, ambitions, and motives. This doesn't just go for the boys of Karasuno, but the numerous rivals, friends, and mentors they meet along the way. Many of these characters have their own personal connections and equations that have nothing to do with the others or the story's main plot, but still add to your viewing experience. Some of them have relevant backstories, but those who don't aren't any poorer for it. Now, I've heard many anime fans say that a series loses out when it doesn't have character development and progression. If this were true, and indeed it makes sense, anime series with a relatively shorter runtime are at a distinct disadvantage over their longer-running rivals. In the case of Haikyuu, the story told so far makes up less than a year in the lives of its characters. Short of uprooting the story from reality and taking it into unknown and supernatural territory, it's impossible to expect Haikyuu's characters to show a great deal of development and progression. But that's not to say they don't change and grow. They do, but in small, important ways. Perhaps the best example of this is the transformation of Tsukishima. You first see him as a player who has potential but is held back by his aloofness and his disdain of those who try too hard. Cool, collected, and caustic-tongued, He never passes up an opportunity to diss Hinata and Kageyama for being slaves to their passion. But as the story progresses, Tsukishima's mask of indifference starts slipping just a little at a time until we see him for what he truly is, an intelligent, thinking player capable of turning any match around with a love for the game that's second to none. That a character seemingly on the sidelines suddenly turns into the hero of Season 3 is both unexpected and sweetly satisfying. That's what Haikyuu does best. It surprises you in little doses, and that's all it takes to make its characters endearing and memorable.
たかがブロック1本、たかが25点中の1点、たかが部活。もしもその瞬間が来たら、俺がお前がバレエにハマる瞬間だ。
While on the subject of characters, it'd be remiss not to talk about Haikyuu's art style. It's Haruichi Furudate's illustrations that make the characters pop with life and grab your attention. To a great extent, the focus is on the facial features, distinct eyes, pointy chins, a lot of crazy hair, all drawn with sharp pencil lines. It perhaps speaks of Furudate's admiration of Bleach creator Taite Kubo, another artist with a drawing style all his own and very different from others. What you'll get are characters with faces that express a myriad of emotions. With its cast of teenage boys, the artist could be forgiven for getting a little lazy here and there, but that doesn't happen. Even the minor characters have been drawn with some amount of detail. You definitely won't find same face syndrome here. The mangaka also has fun with the illustrations. Take the case of Bokuto Kotaro, the silver-haired ace of Fukurodani High School's volleyball team, who strangely resembles a great horned owl. Why is this relevant, you ask? Because Fukuro in Japanese means owl. You get that? Then there's the way the mangaka draws Kageyama with an exaggerated crown and cloak each time someone calls him King of the Court, a hated nickname from middle school that's a testament not to the player's caliber, but his image as an unapproachable monarch who terrorized his teammates. The art's at its best in the action sequences, as it is with most sports or battle anime. Fluid lines and beautiful proportions bring the players and the game to life. As a player stretches his body to its limits to make an impossible save, the artwork keeps right up. In some sequences, like when a fearsome rival delivers a punishing smackdown, the drawing is more manga-like to make the moment more impactful. We've seen the quality of the art drop in quite a few anime, but this hasn't happened in Haikyuu. Hopefully, it never will. If clever character design and a strong art style do a lot of the talking in Haikyuu, the storytelling does the rest. Haikyuu is at its core a simple tale of a bunch of high schoolers working towards their dreams of volleyball greatness. It could mean beating stronger teams to get to the nationals. It could even be a more personal goal like besting a rival you look up to in the game. There are no grand and lofty ideas, yet it's in its simplicity that Haikyuu shines its brightest. Rather than taking the viewer on an emotional roller coaster, the mangaka uses small moments that leave lasting impressions. One such moment is the fight between Hinata and Kageyama that comes after the spiker expresses his wish to try out a new form of attack with barely any time left for the next tournament. It's not unusual to see the two squabble, they're always at each other's throats, but you know this is the first disagreement that might just break their fragile partnership. The writer cleverly uses a bystander with the timid Yachi Hitoka to drive this point home. As the quarrel intensifies, Yachi begs the two boys to be friends again, but the viewer is the only one listening to her pleas. One of my favourite pieces of writing in Haikyuu is the silent dinner at the end of the first season. Karasuno have just lost a big match after coming within touching distance of victory. Sitting around a table full of food, the boys dig in without a sound, eating like there's no tomorrow. You've seen them eat a hearty meal after a hard-fought game many times before, but this time, as their tears flow freely in between mouthfuls of food and their muffled sobs speak volumes, you can't help but feel their heartbreak and share their sorrow. Between these smartly written scenes, the story progresses at a brisk pace with few dull moments. Yet it also knows when to take its time around certain situations. The perfect example of this is in Season 3, where a single match stretches into all 10 episodes, but never once feels like a drag. The writing doesn't falter even in the lighter moments, keeping the momentum going with humour and fun banter. There are tiny gems of humor in the most unexpected places too, such as the Zozenji High School team's banner that sports the slogan, "Simplicity and Fortitude." Nothing wrong with that, except that the boys of Zozenji are among the flashiest and most free-spirited with a playing style to match. These little tricks and treats are what make Haikyuu's writing worthy of praise. If you've read the Haikyuu manga, you've seen the mangaka's message on page 2 of volume 1. Furudate says the idea behind Haikyuu was to create a story with fun and great characters who'll have you rooting for them even if you don't know a thing about volleyball. When I say mission accomplished, Haikyuu sucks you into its story and makes you stay invested in its characters. There are big expectations of Season 4 as Hinata and the boys head to Tokyo for the Nationals. It's my #1 pick for anime shows coming to us in January. You can check out my video of the top 10 most anticipated winter 2020 anime on this channel. And that's it for today's video. I hope you're thinking about watching Haikyuu if you haven't already. Drop me a like if you enjoyed this video and subscribe to ViniiTube for more anime content. I'll see you again soon.